All right. Namaste, everybody. Thank you for being here, Akasha. And had an interesting morning. My cat, who is an indoor-outdoor cat, we found a big wound on her hip, on her side, with her fur missing and a couple of little. She's fine. She's not in pain or anything, but it needed veterinarian attention, not just me. So I was doing my work. However, I live far from anything. And so we went and looking for someone, and we didn't find anybody yet, but someone's on their way to help us in the next hour or two. So thank you for sending my sweet Shauna some love. And she's fine. She's going to be fine. She's a strong, very Mayan Jaguar princess. So she is literally leopard right on her belly, but she's a little cat because she's Mayan. So, okay. Hi, Susie and Susan. And someone's running out of options. Bummer. That's the opposite of abundance. Like, you'd be curious to know why someone would choose that. There must be some good energy in there for you. So, okay, welcome everyone. So what we're going to do is talk today about something really amazing. And in the ancient world, in our current world, we're beginning to come back together. So if you know the divine laws, like everything is the same thing. Abundance and lack are two sides of the same thing, which means that at the two extremes of those, lack or abundance, then somewhere in the middle, you find your happiness in different areas of life. And yet those meet somewhere. So extremes meet. This is a law of the universe. And we are thankfully in a beautiful time right now where we're cycling back into a time when our consciousness is expanding and will be high enough for us to understand finally some of the higher perspectives, not just living in the deep, dark, emotional goo of low states of consciousness. So make sure you go over to the shop and you get yourself the free scale. If you go down, I think to the bottom of the first page, or there's a category as well. We have gifts there that you can get. One is the scale of consciousness. It is a very powerful tool to use and understand. We use it in all of our classes. And once you start to understand what it can tell you, when you know where you are, how something affects you, it not only helps you master your emotions, understand how things affect you, but then you make different choices about what's going on around you, who you're with, what kind of energies you're in. And more now, we have to be extremely discerning. We have to be the ones that are saying it's time for us to take back our mind, to take back our emotions, to embody, to realize I am divine, I am infinite, I am source, I am the all, and I am human. I am in a human body, and I am on the earth in a moment of perceived linear time. And all that matters right now is that here you are, and this is a very special moment in time. This is the time that all of the ancients prophesized. And why? Okay, didn't matter what culture, what era, what food they ate, they called their god, if they built pyramids or churches, everyone has been talking about, because when you had a sophisticated civilization that came through sacred geometry, that came through the math, the music, the harmonics, the frequency, the vibration behind whatever you perceive to be real, because within everything that has form is energy that is expressing just that form. And it vibrates at a certain level. So if it's a rock, it's going much, sorry, my clothes keep getting stuck on my chair. So something that we call dense or solid we perceive it's not alive or growing. It is. And at some of my retreats, we've done such powerful interdimensional work at pyramids and sites like this that people's crystals started to change. Their jewelry that was made of real stone were glowing blue. People had crystals and wands that were absolutely clear when they arrived, that started to grow shapes. One person grew a tiny pyramid, appeared white, like an inclusion, like an inner landscape, after our activation. And then over the next 4 days of the retreat, grew to be an enormous pyramid inside with a spiral staircase and a whole other landscape. People were having this throughout their jewelry and their things. And then when they went home, they were having it in their crystals in their home. So what does that mean? These are the kinds of mystical, cosmic experiences that the reason that we have or had mystery schools. Mystery schools are essentially saying, come discover who you are, how you work, and how you created what you have, and step back into being the creator, meaning consciously from this logical physical realm, aware that in a moment you're focused on driving the car, you're focused on making dinner, you're focused on taking a shower, you're focused on taking a walk with your dog. However, you have multiple layers to who you are. So we got to the point of dark consciousness that we were convinced, and we were convincing each other, and there's still a lot of that going on, of people bullying each other, that you're stupid if you're spiritual, energy isn't real, you're not really talking to angels, there's no other dimensions, nature spirits don't exist, grow up, get real, be responsible. And here's what we say: thank you, and go live your own life somewhere else. Don't pollute my reality with your negativity. Be aware that you have, and you have been programmed to, and people around you, and you may still be doing this in some form or another, depending where you are on your path, because we're all unraveling ourselves from these bonds. Now, we came into a form, but we didn't come into a form in order to be imprisoned to negativity and to believe we were worthless and couldn't have anything, and that there's only so much, and that we had to be a slave or a servant, or if we had power, we had to use it with greed and hoard it and take other people's. This is the psychological drama we've been living in, and our cultures, traditions, and families and belief systems, as well as our identity, what we believe about ourselves, what we have to do to be good, how we make money, what is work, what I deserve. When you get to have what you want, if ever, is it after paying your dues, and so on and so on and so on. We are so deeply buried in our own reality of our mind making it real, that the Maya, the Egyptians, the ancient Greeks, the Incans, the Native Americans, the Eskimos, the Celts, the Vikings, go and go and go. Everybody, okay, Hindus and oh my God, all the Buddhists and the incredible Thailand things. I'm just, I've got more Thai Buddhas than probably, and Kuan Yins. I probably have more Kuan Yins than anything. Just easiest to find, right? So what does all this mean? It means that every culture that has ever lived in any time, regardless of whether we understand what their perspective was, if they understood big concepts, look, they could build pyramids like this, just like in Egypt and other places, that are absolutely mind-blowingly right now, scientists and the top builders cannot duplicate this. They cannot replicate the accuracy. They cannot replicate the alignment to not just the equinox, which is why we will be there, and the serpent comes down. Now, when you see, this is one of my pictures from November at night in Chichen Itza. This is a World Heritage UNESCO site now, so you can't climb it anymore for quite a while now, but I was incredibly blessed to get to do that when I was in my early 20s. And not only did I get to climb it, I got to go inside the temple at the top and down into the pyramid, and I sat on the Jaguar throne. If you know anything about the Maya, you probably have seen pictures of the Jaguar throne. Looks kind of like this. It's very big. It may not all show up here. Looks like this. Okay. And you sit here. I don't know if it's still in there or if it's probably is in a museum. But the really amazing thing is that all these temples were not only built once, twice, sometimes 3 times or more, and sometimes by the same culture, but maybe the era changed, maybe a new ruler or a new level of consciousness was reached. Their calendar was so sophisticated, their science, their math, their art, everything came from the back of the rattlesnake, the pattern on the back of a specific rattlesnake that lives only where I live in the Yucatan. And it gives you everything you need to know about movement and measure of the universe. And when you use that as the key, they developed science, math, they built these that still stand, okay? And at the equinox, the sun sets and comes and reflects against those stairs, comes along the side of the stairs, and you might be able to tell, I'll show you a few more pictures in a minute, the 2 snake heads at the bottom. So this is Kukulkan is the name of the Maya. Quetzalcoatl is the name that the Aztecs gave this particular god. This is the sun god. This is the embodiment of love. This is the bringer of life force, the way the sun does. So most cultures, almost every culture in the past, perceived the serpent or the snake as loving, wise, very, very powerful medicine, and a powerful healer, teaching transformation through self-love, harmony, and ascension. So our perception being projected from our ancestors may be saying, when the Spanish came here, you are a bunch of devil worshippers because you have snakes all over your pyramids. You have snakes all over your temples. Not taking 1 minute to talk to people, to try to understand their culture. Come in and kill everybody for 450 years. Burn all the books. Kill everybody who was smart and intelligent. This is the conquering way. Look what's still here. So one of the reasons I like ancient mysteries is because when I decided I needed to understand how the universe worked, I didn't want to fail anymore. I didn't want to feel miserable anymore. I didn't want to be in pain anymore. I didn't want to understand why I kept succeeding and then failing anymore. I mean, I did want to understand. I kept saying, what's underneath that? And what did it lead me to? It led me to frequency, to thought, to vibration, right? And then we all began to learn this is what that is. Everything's imagination. This is all created. What made this possible is a study of communication, a study and communication with the energy, living, conscious, source, divine energy within everything. So they would watch the stars. They didn't just watch the stars to mathematically track them. They spoke to the stars. These are conscious beings. Earth, Gaia, they built these on her power spots, on her vortexes, on her ley lines, on her crosses. There's too many earth energies to discuss. Some heal, some kill, to be honest. Some do not help heal. They draw energy out. Some lift up, some balance chakras, some come alive in the moon, and some come alive when the sun sets. It's all encoded. And then one of my Mayan elder teachers told me something I was aware of all this time because I'd been going to pyramids in Egypt. I'd been going to stone circles. I'd been going temples in all different kinds of places. And when I came here to the Mayan land and became completely in love and enamored and overwhelmed and amazed and heart opened and healed as I remembered my past lives, as I walked these sacred lands, as I entered these jungles, the magic is palpable. The love is profound, and it's exuding from the stones. It's exuding, nature's exuding things. I love this healing spot. I love this river. It feels peaceful over here. Willows make me feel this way. The ocean makes me feel that way. Those energies are going on. And then the earth energies are going on. But everything that the ancients built all over the world is a reflection of the stars, because as above, so below. So we are aware as an ancient Maya that I am divine and I am human, but I am the divine walking as human. And my job is to be in the human and to remember that the divine is here. So they walked in two worlds, so to speak, all the time. Their entire perspective came from that. So they're listening to the stars as a reflection of their light and as a download of divine light. And they built these temples to reflect the same way the ones in Egypt, the belt of Orion or Sirius or different things aligning to these other cosmic alignments. Why? Are they calendars? In a sense, they're not tombs, they're not castles. None of them anywhere on the planet were ever tombs or ever castles or ever governors' palaces. These are names given by the conquered Dark Age culture who couldn't conceive of putting all of this time, money, and energy into building a sacred spiritual center that you only went to when you were doing spiritual work, which could be every day, but nobody lived here. These are not where houses were, and no kings were living in here. There's no room inside of there big enough that you would want to even spend 2 days in, much less a kitchen or a toilet, okay? So even though we may have discovered bodies in some pyramids, those were put there later by other cultures who found it and thought, ooh, I'm a big important king. I'm putting myself in this thing, right? Those are different. So many things are built many times. The energy is interesting about that idea because it's like rebirthing. And it's one of the mysteries that you're learning from the sacred snake this year. Constant rebirth. Shed your identity, shed your belief, shed the way you relate to people, shed what you believe about money, shed what you do, shed where you live, shed what time you get up in the morning, right? That isn't anger or flushing. The sacred serpent is always in flow on the earth, heart to heart, solar plexus, and sacral right on Gaia. So this is like our bodies laying on the earth. You're communing with the earth. You're feeling the frequencies of the earth. You feel the different shifts, the tremors. How you used to see those movies where the guides, native guides of some area would put their ear to the ground. I'm not sure anybody actually does that. However, the concept was, are you tuning in with your other senses? So because they walked in two worlds, they understood that you are multidimensional. So your body is a vehicle. Yay, take really good care of it. Honor it. Thank it. Don't judge it. Don't tell it it's too fat, too small, too tall, too old, too this, too that. Stop being mad at it. Stop pushing it to make some appointment with what you want. Start loving it and imagining it feeling great and let it shift into that for you. They understood that because that's the process of what? Assumption. And assumption is assuming something. And when you assume something, you begin to bring it into you. You let it become you, like food. You consume food and then it takes the things that it wants out of the food and it starts to build your cheeks and your bones and your eyelashes and your liver. All of these things are made from that. Now you are one. That's embodiment. So they understood that if you built these power centers and all the structures, not just one, there wasn't just one temple. This is across from another temple, surrounded by a whole courtyard of things. The ball court over here means the game of personal transformation, and the serpents were all along the sides. There's jaguar temples. There's temples to yeah, the jaguar for sure. However, almost everything around this area is also dedicated to Kukulkan, the sacred serpent. So this year, this March, going here on the year of the serpent, I mean, I'm almost coming out of my skin because, oh, that's okay. Because the idea of the energies cosmically, the energies of the year, the energies of our evolution through time and space, that the ancients knew, our ancestors knew we were going to get to this point. Why don't we go commune with them? Why don't we go talk to them? They did. This is what they were doing. Across from here is a temple to Ishel and Itzamna. That would be the first movement, the first energy, the first thought, or the first impulse that came from source, that came from the divine. And that would be masculine and feminine, the two poles that begin to create form. So what we might call in mythology, the mother and father of all life. And so that would be Gaia to the Greeks. That's the name that we use often. I like that word. I'm very attached to Mama Earth. And but these then, create the elements, and they make it possible for you to come down into form. So first, there's the explorers, there's the creators, and they create form. They create, and the bottom of this pyramid represents 9, these are 9 waves of consciousness. Everything about this sacred structure, from what it's built on, to how it's oriented, to the exact size of the steps that go to the center, the mathematical and sacred geometry in each of the layers, the angles, the temple at the top, every single inch of this is steeped in sacred intention, understanding, mathematics and harmonics of the universe. And if you understood frequency, if you had awakened intuitive, if you were a priest or one of the priestesses, and they had entire priestess cultures that had all the same rights as men, and that were equal to the priests, and had their own area at these sacred sites, and did their own schools. And I'm going to be opening the Sacred Feminine University of the Maya again. I've been wanting to do this for 5 years, 6 years maybe. And I've just recently received incredible guidance and connections and doors that are opening in the universe to do that. So the Sacred Feminine's coming alive. Now, Kukulkan was considered a god, and we don't want to get too caught up in the idea of gender, because everything has both genders. That means that Kukulkan has both genders. So it isn't that it's a he, it's that the primary polarity that was honored here, that sacred ceremonies happened here, that this was built to, that replicated and drew down the energies of the stars. And how many equinoxes has it seen, and how many eclipses, and how many rare lunar alignments, and how many solstices, and how many equinoxes have existed and baked that information into these stones or released it. And how many ancestors that used this in a sacred way filled the stones full of their information. That's what one of my elders told me. They took information in order to hide it from the people who would come. The darkness where we're coming out of, they knew was going to come. It wasn't just going to come as conquerors that would take their culture away from them. They foresaw that, the same way that the Native Americans in the USA foresaw the downfall of their culture, or the shift of their culture's freedom with the arrival of the Europeans. Same thing here, Europeans. It wasn't just that. It was that they understood that these energies that they had access, that this wisdom that they knew, that this lifestyle that they lived could not be handed down to people of such dark hearts and low consciousness. The Mayan culture was seeded way before the fall or the flood. There are sites that are 50,000 years old. They don't want to talk about them a lot, but they're there. This era, Chichen Itza being one of the younger ones, one of the more recent ones, later in the active Mayan cultural time frame. And yet these were stuffed full of information from as far back as when some of their own cultures were conquering their other ones. So it's like feudal lords in Europe. You know, I have this land in my castle, and over there's another lord with his land in his castle. And one day he wakes up and says, I feel like a greedy bugger today, and I'm going to steal your land and your land and your land. And he goes to war, and he's willing to do whatever it takes in terms of force and immorality and, you know, selling his soul to whatever he thinks that's going to do for him, and takes the land. So same thing here. It happened everywhere. So then at some point before the Spanish came, you had this city-state, Chichen Itza, for example, being attacked or attacking another one. And there's a site we go to not far from here that we'll be going to called Ekbalam, which means Black Star Jaguar. I'm going to do a show about that, a new one. There's old shows here about that, though. And I am a Jaguar Medicine woman, and my Mayan life guide is Ish Mukane, and that's the grandmother jaguar who lives in the earth. And so that site knew that they were going to be attacked, I think, by Chichen Itza or Mayapan, and they buried their pyramid this big. They buried it. So it still has sculptures on the outside, angels. There's a big door that looks like the mouth of a jaguar, and the teeth are still there. Carvings all around it, absolutely stunning. They were made of stucco, and the only reason they survived was because for survival, they would rather bury their sacred secrets. They would rather bury their information and their sacred sites, because they had used these. These are stargates. These are portals to other dimensions. These are full of power and secrets and wisdom. And the reason Hitler and other greedy leader people around the world for so long have run around trying to find sacred sites, or, you know, do a race to space, or whatever their belief system is, holds supernatural power. And this does. So when you come here, you raise your consciousness. When you enter the land, it's full of the ancestors, and it's full of all the sacredness of every time that ever existed, because everything exists all at once. So we enter these sacred sites very reverently. We speak to the guardians of light. We call on them. We work with different Mayan traditions and magic and copal and incense to not only walk with the ancestors and do our activations in line with them, but to ask permission and to acknowledge that we don't just go there today and see this. We go there, and every other time exists in every moment. And if we hold our intention, we can connect to the optimal energies, times, maybe us in another life, maybe a mentor in another life, maybe a ceremony for somebody's, you know, heart awakening, or their graduation into becoming a priestess, and you go and you tap into that energy while you're there. Okay, so you're going somewhere rich in spiritual tradition, and all those things are happening right now. So the priestess school is happening right now, and the ceremony is happening right now, and 80,000 different equinoxes is happening right now, and you're sitting there right now, and you can come in a way that I teach you to be activated to your own inner alignment, and to receive this solar initiation in a way that is ideal for you. Not going to blow you out too much. You don't have to be afraid. You can be in full communion with the beauty and the love of this place. The Sacred Serpent to the Maya is an embodiment of love, and he is the guide that if you just follow the ups and downs of life like a snake, will lead you back up to your feathers, to your spiritual self, to your wings. And so being embodied means that you have to continuously let go of the old body that carries the fear, the old body that carries the blame, the old body that carries diseases and things. And sometimes you just shed it, or you shed your beliefs, or you shed your identity, and your body heals and it changes, right? But you are dying in every moment. So get over the idea of death being bad. You're eternal. You're an eternal being creating a non-eternal present to live and play in, to express yourself and work yourself back up the pyramid here. So these are 9 waves of consciousness. They span huge periods of time, going way, 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 way back. As the universe was created, elements were created, planets were created, suns were created, and then around 4 or 5 layers up, humans were created, and different layers and so on. And we've lived in the last 3 layers at the top for most of us in our life this time. So when it used to take huge amounts of time to go through a shift in consciousness down here, the bottom, we now have gone very fast. Everyone knows that. This is a representation of it. They understood movement and measure. It's different than saying we understand math, although they did. They were the first people to conceive of zero, and they called zero the Milky Way. So when they looked up into the Milky Way, that was zero. That was where you came from. That was origin point. And below, we reflect that by building sacred centers so that we can rise out of our bodies while we're still in them and speak to the stars and speak to our divine selves and commune with nature. So like every other culture, the priest and the initiates and the priestesses and whoever was having a ceremony would go up, would go in, would sit on the throne, would do different ceremonies at the top, would experience visions, would receive guidance for the kingdom, for themselves, and so on. I want you to think about something. I'm going to show you a few more pictures in a minute. Because we've just started the year of the snake, I have so much more information about this. I have been living here almost 9.5 years now. And wow. I would say around 1988 was my first experience with oracle cards, the medicine wheel. It's a Native American deck, beautiful animals. And I pulled the snake card. Scared the crap out of me because I didn't have any context of understanding spirit beings, energy, representations, guidance. Medicine, what I call medicine is what is this green juice here I make every morning has medicine in it, right? It has all kinds of things I put in there that are good for me, and it gives me something. It gets something from the ginger. The ginger has a medicine, its personality, its essence, who it is. And it doesn't question who it is. We question who we are. So the only reason for that ability is not to screw us up so that we decide we want to chase something we aren't all of our lives. The reason to give us the ability to think of who am I and who would I like to be is because we are divine creators. So essentially, the top of most of these pyramids is called the Temple of the Descending God. That's you and me. We're divine. We decided to take form. We had lots of meetings and made soul blueprints and decided what lives and what fears and what problems to come. And we were way up there just watching this unfold. If the ancients on the planet knew what was going to unfold in the next centuries coming and this moment of massive transformation was going to happen, you can bet you knew it when you were in your divine self. So you're like, okay, that's going to happen. I should take advantage of this. Let me bring all my goopiest stuff and we will have a metamorphosis, right? So you do that, and then you take that template and you manifest the body. You manifest the form. Everything's already formed. Everything's already shaped. Everything you could possibly ever think of wanting or not wanting is already there waiting for you to decide, ooh, I like that, and go jump in it and play. So you found the body you thought you wanted, the mom, the dad, the whatever, and you began your descent from pure divine, infinite consciousness, oneness, chaos, meaning no form, no shape, no organizations, just everything everywhere. and you intentionally came down, if you feel and see yourself like that sacred serpent, that life force coming down, and slowly you've got to go, it's kind of like coming back up. If you've scuba dived, you have to do it slowly so your body can adjust to the difference in the density, the pressure, the gravity, whatever. So your spirit came down onto earth. And to the ancient Maya, you came down through the temple of the descending God at the top of a sacred pyramid. This is an energetic structure. This is an example of what is happening in the spiritual and energy worlds. And when you arrived, you were at the top. What is the top? It's this conscious state of unity. We're there now, and that's what we're going through. We're having the huge birthing pains of figuring out how to be in form and to be in unity, instead of just leaving form and feeling unity and then coming back into form and not feeling unity, right? This is our mastery. This is what the ancient Maya understood and teach, is reverence and respect, because everything is already here. We have left you the path. We have shown you what to go. You have guides all around you. Nature, Mother Moon, Grandmother Earth, everyone from our sacred serpent friend all the way to the jaguar and beyond. This is a place where you're not alone. You are guided in every moment. You have only to remember that you are a part of everything. So as you come down, I need to get a sip of water. Hang on a minute. So as you come down, you have the ability to layer of consciousness by state of consciousness, get used to being in a body. Makes kind of sense, right? Think about the idea of a human baby. That spirit kind of hovers around, and then the idea enters all the people involved, and then a moment of union happens, right? When the two divine sacred polarities join. And then the cells start to immediately replicate, duplicate, and you end up with your 8 original cells. And those are still there. They're at the base of your spine. Everything in your blueprint is within your body. And then as that unfolds, the body intelligence can take over to build your body. And the mom, right, holds that baby in the womb, feeding it, buffering it, nurturing it. It's got a protective layer, but it doesn't just burst into a body and start running around. It goes from spirit, liquid light, with intention slowly becoming form into the top, the descended God. Now you've descended from source, you've descended from divine. You're starting to have that disconnect in your memory a little bit, but you were there at the top. Now you're in unity with form. You're in unity with your human intention, your projection of this life. Now you exit the temple and enter the world. This could be when your heart starts beating in the womb, but it could also be mostly your spirit comes in as you're being born. So whatever way you think of it, there's this dance happening, and that might not be the right body, and this might be the right body. And I went over there, and I was adopted. My mother who adopted me had 3 children who died, and later, one of my spiritual mentors told her I was one of those babies. I was the littlest one. I did not like my body. It was too weak. So I left and found a different way to come back and come to her through another way. And that's much more aligned with what I understand now, what I believe now. There's a lot of intention. So anyway, the concept is you come to unity to these 2 planes, the above and the below, and you come down in consciousness. Now, what we see at the equinox is the sun comes and starts to project against the side of the stairs and slowly becomes more and more light until it looks like a full light serpent coming down the side. And they have that stone serpent head at the bottom, and it comes right to that. And so there you have its entire tail. And it's coming down like that, layer by layer by layer. There's energy in all this information, how it comes down, the fact that there's a smaller states of consciousness and faster at the top than the bottom, like I explained to you. There is mystery and magic and movement and measure and possibilities to enter other worlds and to remote view and to travel and to astral travel and to talk to your other selves and to gaze at the stars and to open the stargate. We open the stargates all the time when we go to sacred sites. That's just one of their purposes. Depends on what the energy coming through. This is also seated by Atlantis after the fall. So their first god was from Atlantis, and Itzamna and Ishel, my cat, my beautiful Ishel goddess. She was the sacred feminine, original Atlantean that seeded the land. So the Atlantean wisdom is here. And that's what we've been unlocking in almost every event that I do here. We usually have at least one where we're taken to Atlantis, or Atlantean beings are waiting at the top of the pyramid for us, or we go down through the pyramid and out and we go to Atlantis and see the jobs that we had. That was very interesting. People talking over lunch after that activation, because everybody, we didn't know that, but everybody was being shown what you did, like as a job, so to speak, in Atlantis. Now, Atlantis was a long time, so you could have had 3 lives in Atlantis or more, or only one, and they're different eras, but you went to the one that was optimal, and people were saying, I remembered this, and so I was like, well, I remembered this, and it was very, very vivid. So, like I said, these are full of information and stones. There's healing. There's ones to help you remember who you were in other lives, your wisdom, your power, your purpose, help you heal whatever you're going through, physical, mental, emotional. You could be in a breakup. You could be pondering something really big, like moving into a new country or having a child or starting, a business. I don't know, right? So it doesn't matter. It's not only big things, because every day you want to be like this. You descend into your body every day when you come back from your dreams. And then all day long, you work your way back up the pyramid to the state of unity, and you drift off to sleep. And then you come back down and you go back up. You're doing this every day. You leave your body every night when you sleep. You don't have to fear any of this because you master it. Now you're doing it consciously. So when Kukulkan comes down, it's coming down to say, I love you, to bring the waters, to bring the rain. It's also called the god of the wind and also the morning star, which is Venus. So we know Venus as a woman, as the goddess Venus or Aphrodite, the love goddess. And Venus is very important to us because if you do astrology, right, Venus is one of the primary thing, Mars, all these things, they hold certain energies. Venus is the divine sacred feminine energy, but it's also the energy of your wishes, your creative power, your ability to express your creativity and then allow it to marry into form. And Kukulkan is the representation of that. The sacred serpent is divine life force, kundalini, mixing and to create life in form, right? And then to shed that and return. And there is a fluid dance going on all the time between you. You are not solid and form. You're a thought. You get to decide. You get to change. You get to shift who you are. We're seeing phenomenal things happen in the Wishes Fulfilled class, I must say. So now, hi, baby. So let's see. Ontario and 1111. Hi, Candy. I decided to rewind to the beginning and I'm catching up. Happy to see you all here. Hi, Eritag. Oh, the 29th was your birthday. That was huge. Oh my gosh. Yes. We have rare lunar alignment, rare planetary alignment happening. I've been taking the pictures as best as I can through trees and stuff here. I can see parts of it. We had the first new moon of the year We have the Chinese New Year. And so happy birthday. Congratulations. You are already reborn. Then you're going to get to be reborn over and over and over all year, right? So, uh, yes, so we have this opportunity. Lisa, hi, MK. Oh, good, good. So we have this opportunity to use what the wisdom of the elders, so regardless of where you go, it's in the rocks, it's in the stone, it's in the air. You may feel it, you may consciously just tap into it by meditating, sitting with a rock or something where you go. And when you go to something like this, your intention is that you are going for transformation. This is the year of the snake. You're not going to get away from transformation no matter what you want. That was the name of the card in the original deck that I had. And yet what's interesting is, as I'm seeing the card in my head, the snake was curled around eggs, a nest of eggs. That's quite profound, right? It's not just there's a snake or a snake like, evil snake, Snakes are actually, I became a docent at the Albuquerque Zoo, which means you go study with all the in different areas, and I got to touch and hold snakes. I had a boa snake around me. I never wanted to touch a snake, but I also wasn't super terrified of them. But I had, I think, a pretty normal level of fear. And afterwards, it was incredibly profound. However, I never really fully understood this medicine until I came here. Now, this was in November. So this is our beautiful sacred pyramid that we are going to go to in the afternoon for the descent of the serpent. I want you to understand that when you come to do this in person, I have never taken a group. There will be people there. Okay, there will be other people there. We have the whole thing strategized. We have our guides. We have our drivers. We have people going to be saving us seats sitting in the perfect spot to see it. We're going to be in the morning at the other temple, DZ, when the solar initiation is going to be opening our third eye at sunrise. And then we're going to be here for sunset. And then you can come back and see these pyramids at night. Which is what you were seeing on my background there. They light them up and then they do a show. And it's not exactly realistic, like they're showing you what it looked like. However, for me to be able to be on sacred land at night or in the morning or without other people or in any sacred way, I'm there. So that will be your option too. So I want you to just tune into this, okay? Obviously, this is the most famous of the pyramids. There's many, 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 many like this. They've just opened a site I'm going to be visiting down very far south. That supposedly this pyramid like this there is 3 times this size. Okay, so we think we've discovered the pinnacle. We've barely tapped the surface. This entire peninsula is sacred. It's stuffed full of magic. I love it. But I want you to just say 4 sides, the 4 directions, okay, 4 portals, the 4 guardians. Almost all indigenous and sacred cultures have this aspect. But then you also have the corners. You have the 9 steps of layers of consciousness going up this way. These big layers, there's 9. But then you have these other stairs here. And what you can't see just on the edge are the serpent heads on either side. So this is actually 8 serpents coming down. They don't all turn into the sun thing. They only do that on one side. But there's serpent heads at the bottom. So all the time, they're showing you that descending and ascending is happening. The energy is pouring down to you and through you. So we'll be doing these activations. This is the retreat. So, check out the retreat. And I think we've talked most about this. Now, I told you that the AHAU is the sacred rattlesnake. Okay. So the descent of this is called the Sacred Serpent Solar Descent. It's a sun initiation for the priests, priestesses, noblemen, and other special medicine people who studied here. They studied here to raise their consciousness so that they could guide their civilization, not steal from it, their own people. back. They were willing to become the communication, the connection, to watch the stars, to listen to the spirits, to commune with the land, to understand the serpent energy or the jaguar energy. They were there to interpret these because they knew they lived in a universe where they all were one, they were interconnected, and the survival was not even like, oh, help me survive. It was, how do we thrive? How do we take advantage of this incredible place that we all created? We came down into a body. Okay. So now the shifts that I've been talking about, these are rare, but what I like about the equinox is that it's balanced. So you're going to have the divine feminine and masculine, and it's going to be holding you, and it's going to be creating a space within you that is going to allow you to release or shed and allow you to receive this divine. This is gold light, spiritual golden sunlight, kundalini energy, and very, very powerful medicine. We're going to be doing sound healings, cacao ceremonies. We're going to be doing 2 rebirthings in sacred caves with water and profound sound healings. And we're going to be having a Mayan, very powerful Mayan Jaguar, and some other beautiful energies, ceremonies that will complement everything we're doing at these places. Okay. So I think I shared the alchemical wisdom, the Atlantean spiritual technology. People have been hunting it. The Templars, that's what they were looking all around the world for, is to find the ancient Atlantean alchemical and spiritual technology. It's carved all over the temples in Egypt. The arcs, the stelae here, every one of these places, more and more, you're seeing the governments are cordoning off. You can't touch it. You can't go up it. You can't see the sacred symbols at the top. You can't get near it. You can't be there at special times because they know there's power coming out of these things. They're trying to harness it. They're trying to use it, trying to understand it. They're trying to keep it away from other people because they don't want you to just suddenly start accessing your own power, do they? So now I'm going to skip the prophecies. I had a really cool prophecy, and we're going to look at Chichen Itza a little bit further. All right. So this is the temple of the sacred feminine, the temple of Venus, or Kukulkan. And this is the feathered serpent, the wind uniting back to your spirit. This is a great Maya master of cosmic wisdom. They like to call all the different, what we might call gods or goddesses or pantheons or energies that they revered or that they worked with, they carved. These were masters of light, and they understood them to be masters of light. What is a master of light? Well, they focus their energy on light, on creation, on healing, on growing, on serving, on positive, on expansion. Now, there's the dark. We know we have it, but they don't focus on that. So it doesn't grow in their reality. And if we have enough people focusing on the light, growing the light, and leaving the dark alone, let them do whatever they want over there, I'm not giving them my energy, either by being mad at them or by joining them. I'm just going to be indifferent so that they get no energy from me. So Kukulkan, the sacred feathered serpent, the sun, okay, is the master of cosmic wisdom. And you are receiving this connection to the solar light because it's chi, it's energy, it's life force, it's kundalini energy, and it descends the pyramid. Now, the next pictures, I want you to start to embody the pyramid. So many, many, many years ago, I did this with the Egyptian Great Pyramid with my mystery school teacher, Alton. He had us embody the pyramid in Egypt. So if you're looking at it, you line it up with your body, and suddenly you realize it's actually representing different aspects of your body, your energy body, your light body, and so on. Okay, so rain, I speak these in. So I told you that he brings water, the gift of water, and then we want to also remember that if there's something that brings the gift of another element, that element's energy or medicine or consciousness is coming to us too. So it's wonderful when you don't have much rain, because I don't live in a rainforest. I live in a jungle, and it's a dry jungle. Okay, so there's not a lot of rain here. And when he comes and brings the rain, it's a wonderful time. So the water element is bringing life, right? Refreshment, purification, possibility of birth, time for renewal. These are all the energies that are probably true across the board for all kinds of snake energies. Now, remember on Sunday, so I don't forget, um, and there's no cost, although we really would appreciate if you would give us a donation, or give Neil a donation for everything that he's doing. But I am co-hosting, I've co-produced this event with Neil at Portal to Ascension about the Year of the Snake. So we were talking about this last year, and we were both saying, oh, I'm so passionate about understanding the power of the snake, people taking their power back, wanting their voice, wanting to be able to shed their own stuff. They don't understand that they've been kept from this truth by saying, oh, the snake is evil, or that's the devil. And it tempted you to become knowledgeable, know yourself. No, that's what you have to do. You have to know yourself. So this is a gift. The serpent that said eat the apple was a divine being who was helping you to go from just being I'm just informed, to now you can have knowledge and you can start to become a creator. But the way that was manipulated for you was that was bad. Now you're in trouble. Naughty people, you got to go suffer, and don't come back and talk to me, because you're never going to redeem yourself. So we're letting go of that and keeping the beauty from any of these things, and hoping that is going to be the unfoldment. So I want to give you, this is from one Mayan teacher that I have, and this is the description of the pyramid of Kukulkan, which I just showed you. It's a universal Mayan calendar where the Maya sculpted in stone the symbols and numbers of the AHAU solar calendar and the Tzolk'in lunar calendar. It is associated with the Pleiades constellation cycle of 52 years and is known worldwide for its light and shade astronomical phenomenon representing the cosmic descent of the Kukulkan energy every spring and fall equinox. Now, Kukul is a bird, a type of bird, and Ka'an means snake. So it is literally a plumed serpent or feathered snake. Now, this is also called the Temple of Venus. And this wonderful pyramid describes the spiritual ascension of Quetzalcoatl or Kukulkan to the Venus as the morning star. This temple is adorned with different symbols related to the Maya calendar, the great cycle of 104 years, the shining star, the Alek Ek, and the planet Venus, symbol of music, beauty, and harmony. And so when we go and we see that the intention was the coming, what did I say? I'm forgetting all this, descent. I guess that's all it was. Okay, there was nothing else but descent. The descent of this energy of you into form, your divine into form, your answers into form, your new life, your new decisions, you're accepting your wealthy, prosperous self. You can descend into the form. This becomes very practical, very real. You realize, wow, I'm not aware of what it's like to be happy. I'm not aware of what it's like to feel successful. I'm not aware of what it feels like to be free, and I'm ready to be free. So what do I have to do? I have to go find that freedom and embody it by imagining the end and living in the end. And what do? Then I embody it. So I'm descending into a place that I've never been in the physical world yet. And yet my spirit wants it and has communicated with it and is descending into it. And then maybe you go into your dreams and you dream all about, going on a trip to Paris, okay? And all night long you're in Paris and you're going to museums and you're having the best time and you're doing all this stuff, and then you wake up and you go, oh my God, it was so real, because you went there, because your spirit said, this is what I want, this is what I am going to focus on, and I'm not going to be afraid of it, and I'm not going to think I can't have it. I'm going to actually say, wouldn't it be wonderful when I have it? Now I have it. How does it feel? And then you go there. And then what happens is you meet it again in the physical at some point when it actually takes place. So this is one of the many things that is being represented here. And what I love is that it's then bringing down the sacred divine energy right into Venus, right into our divine feminine. Okay. So then it says that he releases the water into the hands of the mother goddess Ishel. So I told you that right across from it is there's a pillar here and here. I don't know if I have that picture right here, but who's the goddess of fertility? She's earth, she's medicine, women, abundance, rainbow, but she's really the goddess of the mother and the embodiment of this first Atlantean queen or divine feminine, right? Or the divine polarity, the divine mother, okay? And the first mother, the great mother goddess. If you sit and ponder it, I'm sure you can feel the energy coming now, right here. But you can look at it. You can just look at it. And suddenly you'll start to notice that there's a pyramid over here and there's this shape over there. And you can see the serpent over here. And there, it's so alive. Now, inside of it is a second pyramid. And this is actually where the throne room with the Jaguar throne is. So I did not know until November that when I went and sat on that Jaguar throne back when I was in my 20s, I actually went down through this pyramid, into the pyramid inside of it, and down into that pyramid, and into the throne room or to the transformational room, right? The priest's room, the priestess's room in that inner temple. So I was right down about the middle of this, in the center of this. There isn't any way to describe the power that you get when you go inside of the king's chamber or the queen's chamber inside of the pyramid, right? They don't let you go in most of these things anymore because it's very powerful. So then Ishel, the divine feminine, transmutes the water energy into life, abundance, resurrection, bringing things back right. The dead seed starts to be fed life, comes to life, healing energies for emotions, mind, body, and earth. So as the wind god, the cloud, and the water are all part of his special magic and medicine, we got to go on the temple, the wind god temple, which was his in Tulum, hanging over the cliff, which is not allowed to normal, and that was crazy powerful. So the cosmic serpent is what we're talking about here. This is a serpent that's descending onto the earth. That is our spiritual life force that's within us that needs to be released into our chakras, like the caduceus symbol, to feed the chakras in a balanced way into the third eye and open those wings. So this is a cosmic serpent, and I feel that this is vital energy at this time to remember you're not just tuning into your earth being, you are above and below. You need to connect with the cosmic serpent energies that are going to come up this year, as well as the earth serpent energies. And a lot of people are talking about, oh, it's earthy, earthy, earthy. It goes on the earth. Well, it also goes in the water. It also climbs trees. And Kukulkan, my goodness, I'm going to see if I can show you this video. We'll see. So Kukulkan represents our sacral central star. So sacred central star, our morning star. That's Venus. So you may know if you track Venus is sometimes the morning star. So it's the first star up, and sometimes it's the evening star. And so there's a point when it shifts, and it's kind of cool if you're aware of it, because I'm always tracking Venus. We're holding her in our hearts, right? So underneath, this is all about, did we get that? Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Shedding rebirth as the sun has the light to know underneath that you are fully formed and ready as the real you, the way that a snake is. A snake doesn't shed its skin and then become a little helpless, kangaroo with no fur. It sheds its skin proudly with a whole new gorgeous skin and pattern and new rattles, and the whole thing, man, is ready. And as a guide to your spiritual nature and full flight in your power. So flight is a part of this, right? This is a little bit closer up. Now, these stairways would have had carvings all the way along them. These pyramids were painted very, very colorfully. There were lots of other carvings on the top, on the sides. These are bare bones that you're seeing. And I just want you to see how I was embodying the pyramid. And I didn't really realize it. I just asked Chris to take pictures and I started to do this and meditate. He was the one that lined up the camera. Now I have a bunch of pictures. However, what's really interesting was I'm doing an exercise with my wishes class, and I went to go to my happy place, so to speak, and I've had different versions of that for many, many years, and it completely changed the first day after the serpent. And I went here, and I went to the temple, and I was inside the temple, and it was glowing sunlight. And then I became the temple, and the temple at the top was my head, and the body, and the pyramid came down in my body. Okay. And so this is so profound when I saw these pictures that I was just blown away. Okay. So that is a rattle. So that hunk of stone in front of you there is a piece that's fallen off, and that is the other end. It's the rattle. So the rattle is often looks like a heart or a key or little puzzle pieces that fit together. And rattles are incredibly sacred. Every time they shed their skin, they grew a new rattle, and it's considered to be the equivalent of the crown chakra. 1313, there's my honey. You can see the feathered serpent, right? The feathers along the top. Feathers, 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 feathers. So none of this is about being earthbound. This is about following the sacred guides to go back to your feathers. Okay, and even here, you can see with the mouth open at the bottom, the tongue out, both as guide up to your divine self and back. And this is a temple right next to the pyramid as well. It's called something stupid by current people. That's Kukulkan. You see those little things at top? That's the rattle. And then it's going back and coming forward and going back and coming forward. And I can't get any higher because they don't let you up there anymore. But it comes down like that. And there's many of them. There's also Chakmul. And you can see I zoomed in there. And this is just the tree of life. They do a whole show on it at night. And this is specifically very beautiful. Each of these trees grows up like a serpent winding up, showing you the weaving of all the different roots of life and origins of life and everything. So, okay, let me shift over here now. So I want to do some more sacred Mayan teachings and magic with you, show you some of the actual video of this event happening. I don't personally have any, so I'm going to have to show you like YouTube videos and give them credit. And then teach you a little bit more about what's possible. So what I want you to do is to become attuned to this as you go into this year. You know, this is definitely because for me, the Mayan magic changed my life the way that that my first mystery school, my first Egyptian mystery school changed my life, the way that other things did at each point. And I had learned so much, and then it was like something came along and put it all together. And then I learned and had all these life experiences, and then something came along and just put it all together. And that's happening to a whole new phase. I'm going into a brand new study to prepare for 2027 and the cosmic events that are going to happen then. So I'm here to help guide you through this, to always be as much on my own path and on the cutting edge, but always on my own path of evolving, so that I can clear the path for you. I can help to tell you this, I found this easier. I found this particular thing to really help. Maybe you feel called to the Maya. Maybe you feel called to the ancient Greeks. Maybe you feel called to something else or more than one thing. The point is that each of us has our own journey through this next year. And if we understand that we are the divine, we are the descended God, goddess, and that we came down with intent, No one forced us. No one abandoned us. No one is punishing us. That in fact, it takes great intent, great power, and great spiritual support to be here in a body. You are the chosen one in the sense that you chose to be here. And all the energies that were required and are still required every moment to take care of you, to meet your needs, because the universe, the Divine Mother, everything is listening to us with every moment. What we feel, what we think, what we believe, how we treat others, and most importantly, how we treat ourselves is what is given back to us. So I'm going to keep unfolding this for you. In the meantime, if you would like to come to the event, I would very much like to see you, talk to you. So if you go over to, I don't even know what it is. Let me see if I can find it. So you can go to the shop. That's probably the best thing to do. And then you can go to the Mayan retreat or the dolphin retreat. But if you go to the Mayan retreat and you say, yeah, I don't have it. You go to click on that. At the top of that will be an appointment to talk to me if you want to ask questions, if you have fears, if you have excitements, if you're, whatever it is that you feel called to about this. If this is part of your soul path, please let me know. I carefully, curate the groups so that we all have a beautiful and healing experience. And yet everyone needs to be on a soul calling. Okay. We're not just here to go like, let's just go drink, or something. So this is definitely a spiritual retreat when you come with the intention of healing, transforming, becoming empowered, stepping into your most magnificent future, your most prosperity, your most power. And the Maya believe that, you're living in a reflection, and that this planet is the planet of mirrors. So the obsidian mirror was one of their symbols. And it's really that reflection that everywhere you look, someone's reflecting something to you. That's just the concept, the makeup of Earth, right? So that's, that is kind of the way that it works. And anyway, I don't need to show you anything. That's it. So, I'm so glad I took this picture. It really made me happy today. In the meantime, enjoy the new year. Have a wonderful time. And we are going on a journey. So if you want to experience the culture, the food, we're going to stay in 2 beautiful colonial towns. We're staying in beautiful old mansions that are homes now, or condos, and then we'll end up at the beach, and then we're going to have sacred ceremonies. And it's just everybody who comes is sort of blown away, even though they chose to come, because there's so much that it's hard for me to convey to you how special this experience is. So take the energies that I've shared with you today, let it roll around, see what's coming up for you, what kind of beautiful sacred serpent energy is speaking to you. And I will be exploring that energy all year. So thanks, everybody. Thanks, Candy. Love you guys. Take care. Bye-bye.